So glad to have you here. My name is B. I am the head of product for account security here at Twilio, which is part of our engagement cloud. And so you're going to hear this word over and over again today. I've already said it like 5 times. But engagement, customer engagement, is what we're talking about today. So the first thing I want to say is, what is customer engagement? Why is this important? So customer engagement is the value your customers are getting out of their relationship with you above and beyond your product. Not just the thing they buy from you, but the way they buy it, how you deliver it, and then how you're supporting them after the fact. So it's all the processes that are around the product. And more, we're seeing that this is the way that businesses are distinguishing themselves from their competitors and getting a competitive advantage. So engagement is this really, really important new aspect to businesses, or a way that businesses are innovating and differentiating. And we want to talk about what we've learned from the Twilio perspective and how that can impact your business and how you can be thinking about this. Great engagement, well, let me break this down first. What we've found is that great engagement is built when you bring context. The things you already know about a customer based on where they are in the buying cycle or what channel they're coming from, what you know about the customer, bringing that into an experience where you think not just about how do we get the right information to you, like technically we've delivered the message, but instead, like, where is this person sitting? What time in their life are they at? What are they feeling? How are they engaged? Like, how are they experiencing this moment? How do we construct a moment for them, this experience? And then connecting these experiences together to create journeys, where we're not just thinking about one time that we're talking to a customer, but the whole life cycle, how they find our product, and how we guide them through a whole relationship with our business. And so if we can deliver that, if we can bring context into experiences to create these great journeys, the impacts can be huge. And that starts with better conversion, better click-throughs in the start of our campaigns. It turns into higher customer satisfaction, people who are enjoying our products more. That in turn turns into retention and upsells, where people are more likely to keep coming back, sticking with our products, buying more of them. And then, of course, most critically, and this is one that I think is like just so essential, is word of mouth referrals. When somebody has a great experience with your business, that's when they're most likely to go tell somebody else about it. And if they have a bad experience with your business, that's also when they're most likely to go tell somebody else about it. So customer engagement can have a really, really big impact on business. And Fidelity did this study on their customers, where they split out their customers and they looked at who were the most engaged customers. Who were the customers who were feeling like they were best taken care of? And who were the customers who felt disengaged, who felt like they were being ignored or left behind? They used customers like they used a Net Promoter Score to distinguish between these customers. But the truth about these customers, they were all getting the same product. They're all getting the same investment strategy, the same interest, the same returns. But the people who were feeling engaged invested 4.5 times more money with Fidelity than the customers who were disengaged. Huge impact, 4.5 times more money invested by the engaged customers. And so if you're Fidelity and you learn this about your customers, the obvious next question, the first thing that's going to come to mind is, how do we get more customers into the engaged bucket? How do we get more people feeling like we're taking care of them, like they have a relationship with us? How do we take the customers who are disengaged and save them? How do we reach in, pull them back? How do we turn them around? Because that's going to have a huge, huge impact on our bottom line. And so I think that a really useful place to start in thinking about how you do that is to think about a Twilio customer who has really transformed their industry with a really thoughtful experience. And that is Uber. Now, I don't know about any of you, but if I do not have an appointment with somebody and I get a call from a number that's not in my contact book, there is not a chance in hell that I am picking it up. Right? Because like 9 times out of 10, 99 times out of 100, that's going to be like a worthless use of my time. But what Uber has done is that I've called a ride. Somebody's coming to pick me up. I see a map telling me when somebody is getting to me. I get notifications, a push notification, a text message telling me that they're close and then that they're there. And then I get a call from an unknown number, and I don't have an appointment. But because they brought all this context into that moment, because I know what's happening, because I know who to expect, I'm walking out of the building, and I pick up and I'm like, hey, I'm on the corner. I don't have to say, who are you? What are you calling about? I know, because they brought this context into the experience. And if you think about Uber, like Uber hasn't transformed the product. Like you still get into a car, it takes you to a place, it drops you off. Nothing has changed there in this industry. What they have changed is that experience, the product delivery experience. And being able to deliver a much better experience there, again, has totally revolutionized that industry. I know that here in New York, cabs still are doing their job and doing a good job of it. But in other cities, cabs are totally disappearing just because this experience, like this engagement experience, is so much better. And so this is an example of a point, one moment in time where they've thought about how they can make this a great experience. But really, it's not just about a moment, but instead it's about a whole journey, the whole lifetime. First time you encounter a customer with marketing, the first time they learn about your brand, who you are, what your business is about. Then through selling, when they're making a buying decision, how they're communicating with you, how they're understanding the value proposition. Delivery, once they've decided they want the product, how they get it, how they make sure that they're getting it on time and that things are going well. And then when things don't go well, when there is a mistake, when they're not satisfied, the support, how they're being handled when there's a problem. And so if you do this cycle really well, if you connect all those pieces together really well, what I love about this slide is that it's a circle. They come back. And again, you get to start the whole thing over. You get to teach them more about more products. You get to sell them on them again. You get to deliver something new, and then you get to support them again. You're going to keep doing that over and over, and that's what builds great businesses. So I'm going to go through a couple of stories here, which the first is Shopify. Now, Shopify is a Twilio customer who used to send a lot of their marketing messages just as blasts in emails. Everybody got the same message through the same channel all the time. It was a one-size-fits-all. And what they moved to was this idea that they were going to remember customer preferences for how they liked to be communicated with. If you prefer to get a text message, you get a text message. If you prefer to get a push notification, you get a push notification. And some of you may know this thing in the settings where it's like you've got 3 columns of different ways you can be getting messages, and you get to choose where you want to be communicated with. This is a really big change in how you deliver your marketing message. And what Twilio has seen is that companies that deliver across multiple channels see up to 5 times higher engagement on those messages. That's the click-through. Somebody actually saying like, oh, I wanted to receive this discount coupon code. Not, this was one of 50,000 emails in my inbox on Black Friday. I don't know how many of y'all had that problem, but oh my gosh. Out of control. On the sales side of things, Zillow had this realization that the time to contacting their customer really made a huge impact. So Zillow is a real estate company who lists a lot of property online. You go to the web, you browse through a bunch of places that meet your criteria, and when you're interested, you give your phone number to the website. And somebody calls you, like an agent calls and is like, hey, I heard that you were interested in this address. Like, can we have a conversation about it? And what they realized was that the difference in lead conversion time shouldn't just be measured in days to getting a call or hours or even minutes, but seconds between when you put your phone number in and when you get a phone call from an agent. And now you can imagine, like, you're sitting at home, you're like looking through listings casually, you're like, oh, this one's nice, you put in your phone number, and then you go make a sandwich. And if you get the phone call while you're still sitting in front of the computer looking at the listing, you're ready to have a conversation. You're like, yeah, I'm looking at it. Can we set up a time where I could come by? If you've walked away to make a sandwich and your like hands are busy with a knife cutting the sandwich and you get the call, you're like, sorry, I'm busy, can we talk later? And you hang up. And so seconds is how they're measuring that time to getting the lead engaged. And what this takes is better routing of messages and better handling of those calls, making sure that the right tasks are getting to their agents at the right time. And what we've seen is with customers who are doing quicker lead tracking, the impact can be huge also on conversion. So Twilio customers are getting a 3 times higher conversion on leads when they do better routing and get quicker response times. For delivery, I love talking about Airbnb's product delivery process. I'm actually going to dig into this experience a little more later in this talk. But Airbnb does this incredible thing. And if you imagine, I don't know how many of you have actually used Airbnb before, but like you've received the marketing message, you bought in, you're like, yeah, I want to stay at an Airbnb. And you go onto their website or in the app and you look at some photos and you're like, this place looks nice and it's charging not that much for this city that is normally very expensive. I'm going to stay here. Now you've got in your mind where you're staying and you booked a room, but now there's this huge gap between like you in the Airbnb website or app having decided where you're going to stay and the actual reality of showing up at a stranger's house, like getting keys, getting in, having a problem. Like who are you going to call when something goes wrong? Like the Airbnb model has this giant problem of like, how do we actually deliver this product to you in a way where you're not feeling like you're left hanging or that you're going to be confused or that it's going to be really anxiety-inducing? And the result, like the way they've handled this, and I think is really beautiful, is that the second you book, like immediately, the moment you hit book on an Airbnb, you're dropped into a conversation with the host. And that conversation usually has a pre-populated message where the host is going to say, so excited you're going to be staying with me. Here's the basics that you need to know about the place. Here's some questions I have for you to make sure that I make your stay great. Let me know if you have any other questions. And so immediately you're in conversation. You're engaged with the host. And what this lets Airbnb do is now they are able to take care of their customers without a single front desk. So they've connected you into this experience. They've taken a big challenge in their business model and turned it into an engaging experience that's actually an opportunity, makes their business work really well. So I think that's really awesome. And across businesses, this isn't just Airbnb, but what we see is that product delivery, the logistics, getting the product to somebody, making sure somebody is able to access the thing they bought from you. When our customers are thinking about more engaging experiences, they can get 50% faster coordination. Basically, people are spending 50% less time dealing with the coordination of actually getting the product that they've already bought. On support, this is like the easiest one because we've all also had this experience, which is like the traditional method is that you would call into a call center, and first of all, you're like frustrated. Like you are calling because something went wrong. Now you're on hold for a long time. You have to keep answering the same questions over and over. There's no context but when you get transferred between agents. And then like the call drops for some reason, like you've been sitting on the phone for an hour and you had to get an elevator for a second and you've dropped the call and you have to start the whole thing over again and you're like, I'm giving up on this. I'm just never going to use this company again. And this is a really like vulnerable moment. This is like those these are those disengaged customers we were talking about. This is like these vulnerable customers. They've had a bad experience with your product. They're having a problem. And this is your chance to redeem yourself. This is your chance to pull them back. This is your chance to convert them into promoters. Fidelity, I said Forbes, Fidelity, the customers that we were talking about. And so this is a really vulnerable moment. And what Zendesk has done is converted this into a multi-channel experience. So now you can go on their website, get into chat. You can text the agent. You can give your phone number and then have them call you. So that if you get disconnected, they've got your phone number and they can call you back. It really changes the experience of interacting with support. Now it's happening on your time, your schedule. You can do it over text message. And if you're busy for a minute, it's not going to go away. And what we've seen is that companies moving into these omni-channel customer support experiences are getting 39% higher CSAT scores, so customer satisfaction scores. So again, this is like a big, big opportunity to turn it around, to get somebody in this moment where you might be about to lose them and bringing them back. So all of this together, this is the 4.5 times more that people are investing in Fidelity. Like, this is what adds up to creating a great customer experience, creating these journeys, and making your customers more valuable, giving them more value. So switching gears a little bit, I guess an important question is like, how did Twilio get here? Why does Twilio know about customer engagement? How did we get involved in these sorts of processes? And the answer starts with a diagram like this, which hopefully none of you can read because fonts are tiny. And if your eyes are that good, I'm jealous. But this is what it used to look like when you were like, I want to send a text message as a business. I need to understand a diagram like this. I need to spend about 18 months or more, at least 18 months, and millions of dollars on contracts to pull copper wire into my office so that I can start sending messages. Now, it's doable. You can do that. But it's inflexible. It requires a lot of upfront planning. You've got to put a big investment behind it. And the result is like that you can send text messages. And what Twilio did is took all the complexity and all the trouble with that and turned it into a simple API. So now you can spend for fractions of a cent. You can get up and going in a couple of seconds. And like, that's all it takes to send your first text message. Super easy, super quick. And that wins us a bunch of customers. That like moves the industry forward in a big way. Communications have gone from something really inaccessible and hard to now something simple and easy. Really awesome. This is a great move, Twilio. But interestingly, what happened when we gave customers this tool wasn't that everybody who was doing it the old way switched to doing it the new way. But it was now like every team could go experiment with communications. They could try something new. They could run a lot of experiments, see which ones panned out, try new things, build up new things with little investment. And the result was that we started seeing that our customers, perfect. Our customers were innovating on this engagement experience. Like they were building these engagement experiences. And so for us, The next demand we were hearing from customers was like, okay, we can do SMS and voice. Well, how about push notifications? How about chat? How about video? How about Facebook? How about Alexa? And we built out all these APIs, helping fuel these people who want to experiment and build on top of communications, who want to use communications to create engagement. And let me tell you that I can guarantee you, if in like 3 years we're all hologramming each other and like having future spacey conversations, there's going to be a Twilio API for that. Like that's just we keep building APIs because this is like what our customers are doing. But the more we build of these, like the more complex it is to start using them, right? Like the more there is you have to know to get up and running. And so what we've also done is built on top of these communications channel an engagement layer of software. And this is where I sit in that account security section up there. But we think about what are the challenges to get up and running with multiple channels in a lot of different use cases and build software to make that really easy and simple, to make it so that your business can be building great engagement experiences really quickly. And so that's Twilio. That's how we got here. That's how we got to be in the center of this. And basically, like today is about you thinking about what engagement experiences you can build to make your business better, to better engage your customers. And so I've already gone through a couple of examples, but really I'm here to get the creative juices flowing, to get your brain thinking about like, ooh, there's that thing that we've been thinking about that maybe we could do. So I've got 3 more examples that I want to dig into that I think are really, really great examples of building great engagement experiences. And the first one is ING. So ING, big bank, they've been around for a long time. In the EU, they comply with a regulation which says that you have to open a new account face-to-face. Yeah. And so the traditional way of doing this was like you have to come into a bank branch. You have to like find some time in your day during bank hours to come into a branch and open an account. It's like pretty prohibitive. You got to find a day off work or like run out during your lunch hour. It could take you weeks to find that time. Then you got to go wait in line and with everybody else who's also found this one spare moment to end up at a bank. Like this is a big, big limitation on how they're able to engage their customers, who they can bring in, and what the start of that relationship is like. And so ING had this amazing idea, like this revelation, and really changed the experience. And that was that they added couriers, right? So now, on top of the fact that you can come into a bank branch, you could also have somebody come to your house. So somebody's going to come to your house, knock on your door, look you in the face, and then sign the piece of paper that it's really you. And so now, you can have a relationship with ING without having gone into a branch. And that's like a big improvement on the process. Now you can be doing this in a matter of days. You can actually get through the process a lot easier, maybe even hours if you're really on it. So the process got a lot better. But the challenge is now like ING is managing a network of couriers who are going to houses, and like the business process behind that's actually pretty complicated and expensive. So the experience got a lot better, but ING took on a lot of trouble to do that. And so my slide has given away what they did next, which is they used Twilio to put video into the process. So now when you're signing up for an ING account in the EU, instead of schedule a time with a courier, you can say like, start a video chat. And in seconds, you're connected to another person who looks you in the face, says like, yeah, that really is you. You really are who you say you are. We can open an account. And so a second huge leap, and the process gets a lot better. Second customer here, and this one is near and dear to my heart, working in account security, but Namecheap is a domain name host. They host about 8 million domain names. And if you think about the domain name hosting business, there are a couple of different categories of customers. I don't know how many of you fall into this, but I won't commit to the fact that I am this, but some people buy a lot of domains when they have ideas. You get it. You're like, oh, this is going to be cool. I should go buy that domain before anybody else buys it. Right, and then you're like sitting on, like, I'm not even going to say a number because it's embarrassing how many domain names I'm sitting on. But like you're sitting on a lot of domain names, but like they're not used, right? Like if somebody stole my account full of domain names, I'd be like, man, I hope they do cool stuff with my ideas. Right, so like low security on that use case, on like that account of mine. But then like I also have a blog and a like personal website, and I care about that, and I like care about my comments. I don't want somebody like putting a bunch of spam on there. So like there's then this like middle level where it's like I've got a thing, it's actually working, and I want to protect it. But then like at the top level, you can imagine Twilio has our domain name hosted somewhere. And our whole business is like twilio.com/API, right? Like every time you want to use Twilio, that is how you start, is with our domain name. And so our business is built on our domain, and our customers' businesses are also built on our domain, right? So it's really, really important that Twilio's domain stay protected. And so Namecheap exists in this world where like a bunch of their customers don't care at all. It's just a big pile of ideas that haven't gone anywhere yet. Some people want to protect things a little and don't want to be too inconvenienced. And some people want like, log it down. Don't let anything happen without our control. And so what they used is Authy, which is one of our Engagement Cloud APIs, one of the account security APIs. And what it let them do is add SMS, two-factor authentication, to that middle layer. So you can get a code texted to you every time you log in. Just make sure that it's really you. You've got your phone with you. But then at the top layer, they added our Authenticator SDK into the Namecheap app. And so for Namecheap, if you want to like lock down your site, you can go download the Namecheap app. And every time you log in, you're going to get a push notification to the app, which says like which browser you're logging in from, what IP address, a bunch of information about it, and then like approve or deny. Will you let someone in? And then when like sensitive actions are happening, the same thing. Here, somebody's trying to move your domain. Here's where they are. Here's what's going on. Are you approving this? And that's all being signed in the background with public key cryptography. It's like really, really, really strong security built into the Namecheap app. And the result is that people actually are like, A, very excited to be able to trust Namecheap, to be able to use them in really sensitive environments. But B, it also gives people another reason to download the app. So Namecheap saw a 50% increase in people downloading their app when they started offering that feature, which I guarantee you is some of the people who were protecting like the pile of ideas. But like the fact that there was this trusting relationship that they could build inside of their app gave them another touch point for their customers. Super awesome experience. The third one, and I promised you that we would come back to this, is Airbnb. As I already said, like one really awesome thing like in the product delivery process is that you might be left in an uncertain lurch given the nature of Airbnb, but that they connect you and make that really a seamless like process of delivering the product. But on top of that, there's also this way in which, well, let's see. Here's you booking. Here's you in the chat. You get dropped into really quickly. But then once you're in your booking, they also take you over to their trips and experiences. So they recommend some things you can do while you're at your stay, give you some fun things you can be doing in the app. And when you finish your trip, that conversation turns immediately, automatically, into a rating. And so the interesting thing about these ratings is that some of them are private. They just go to Airbnb. Airbnb can now know whether to recommend this host, what feedback they can give the host, things that are just going to be with Airbnb making their business better. Some of these are public and are going to be building into the community, feeding into the marketing for Airbnb, feeding into the next person who's coming stay, and deciding whether or not they want to book with Airbnb. And so seamlessly, you're having a conversation with the host, with Airbnb, and with a community, like with a public audience, and you're not even thinking about transition. You don't have to be moving between different modes. This is all just part of the experience, that your communication, your opinions are getting slotted into the right parts. And so now, you've had a great experience, you booked, you got connected with a real person who you had a real conversation with, who helped you have a good stay. You then rated it, you sent some feedback out into the community, you became like a part of the Airbnb community, and then like the real magic here is Airbnb says, do you want to be a host? Do you want to be on the other side of this? And this is how Airbnb has become the biggest inventory for rooms so quickly. The answer isn't like just sell people that they can have a great experience. It's take people, bring them through the experience of what it's like to be a guest, connect them with a real person who's a host, have them participate in the community, and at the end of it, show them they can be a part of the other side, that they can make money, that they can also be on the hosting side. And this is just like such an incredible line through. That's the incredible journey. And you can see how that powers their business, that it creates that cycle. So I really, really love the Airbnb example because they've done such a good job making that seamless. And so all of these are just examples of how disruptors are using Twilio tools, these communication tools, to create great customer engagement experiences. And so I hope that this is giving you some ideas that you're thinking about your customers and the way that you're talking about them. You're thinking about some transactional things you might be doing today that you could make a little more engaging, a little more exciting. And so what I want to do next is bring up a Twilio customer to tell you about it themselves. And this is a really, really awesome Twilio customer, a great story that I love. And it's National Debt Relief. And the reason why I love this story so much is because national debt relief is reaching customers at a very, very vulnerable time in their lives. It's helping them pay off debts in a moment when, A, there's probably a lot of stress and anxiety going on in their life, so it's really careful to be thoughtful about how to reach them. And B, they're probably being overloaded with communications already. So being careful about what are their preferences, what are the right ways to reach them, can have a huge impact on the outcomes for those people. So I think it's a really great story. I'm excited to bring up Danny Tiltman and Alan from Twilio to tell you all about it.